welcome to the discerning few. There may be people coming in and out as there's been delays with fog and registration queues are still huge and so forth. We need to get started so we don't have any sort of knock-on effect throughout the day. So my name is Harry, and I'm the Deputy Head at Emirates International School in Jumeirah. And today we're going to talk a little bit about empowering facilitators at school. The focus, of course, will be on teachers, but hopefully some of the ideas that I presented and we discussed can be applied to anyone who works at a school, hence the title facilitators, because anyone who works at a school is a facilitator for learning regardless of their position. Okay? If you've attended What Work sessions before, you know that these aren't lectures. This is really an opportunity for sharing some of the practice that I have come across in my travels, some of the ideas that I've come across through discussion and research, and hopefully later on in the session we'll be hearing from you and your ideas and so on and so forth. Okay? Great. Okay. Dictating or supporting. Really the main focus of this is how does any of this affect learners and learning in the classroom? So surely whatever we do must be the learner must be the focus. So this is a slightly, what you might call an upside down management structure. You see the senior management are right down there on the bottom where they belong. Then you have the middle management, HODs, curriculum coordinators, CAS coordinator, that's an ID term, but you'll understand from your own curricula who they are. The teachers, and then at the very top, the learners. So everything that's happening down here and all the way up the upside down pyramid, as it were, has only one goal, and that is to support the learners. Okay? And sometimes it's easy for us to forget, particularly like me, if you spend a lot of time in an office, that the people who are on the front line of that are the teachers. They are the ones who are going to have the biggest immediate impact on student learning. If they're not motivated, if they're not empowered, then this whole structure is for nothing. Yeah. So how then can we try and help teachers remain motivated? Some of you, it's quite interesting, I don't know what the demographic is, but hopefully there's a mixture of teachers and management and administration. And perhaps some of you may have come across these sorts of situations. Yeah. My assignment for my master's degree aligns with my classroom practice. Why can't that be part of my goals? I have come across senior administrators who have dismissed teachers who are undergoing their own personal professional development as something that should stay outside of the school. Why? I think a master's degree in education. Surely there is something there that is going to help benefit their practice, the learner, the school, and a whole. I mean, perhaps not, but don't immediately dismiss it as something that must be irrelevant. I don't understand how it can be. Oh, DSIP. It's just DSIP. We just hand in a list of recommendations from DSIP and told to get on with it. Okay? Now, before I go any further, DSIP, of course, is an extremely valuable experience and should and can be, and has been for me, a very positive one. Yeah? But if you are handing DSIP recommendations to facilitators in your school and saying these are your goals for the year, that is not the upside down triangle approach that we have already looked at all. That's dictating and not supporting anyone. Okay? And we'll look at how these can be integrated a little more into personal goals a little later on. A very important way. My line manager has suggested a goal for this year, but I'm not sure how it helps the kids. I think it's all rather tempting if you are a line manager and you are having a goal-setting meeting with a teacher and perhaps they're just not quite sure about where they want to go, and we start suggesting things for them and say, well, you should look at this and you should look at that. Sometimes they're great suggestions, but sometimes a teacher might not have the confidence to say, well, actually, I'm not sure about that. Yeah. I'm not sure how that's going to help me in my Year 7 humanities class. Yeah. I can see why written down on paper it looks and sounds fantastic, but I'm having trouble thinking about how I'm going to actually translate that into class in front of me. The staff dinner we had was lovely, but how does that help me in my classroom? We've all been to staff dinners, I'm sure they're lovely, they're great fun, you socialise, you meet people, and I'm not suggesting for 1 second you should stop doing it. Do get out, socialise, have fun. But if that is somehow being used as, well, there's your motivation, there's your team building, we went for dinner. Well, I've never seen the correlation between a nice dinner out and empowerment and motivation in class. Yeah, I've never quite seen that relationship myself. Okay? I'm not suggesting you shouldn't do them, but don't just assume that then, well, we had a lovely dinner, everyone's really motivated and empowered. It'd be really nice if my line manager could let me know I've done something right instead of just talking to me when I've made a mistake. This, of course, is old news, and it's, there's nothing new in this. It goes back since the term line manager was coined. But we do get busy. Yeah? If you are line managing someone, we do get busy. We get caught up with other things. Yeah? We can forget. Yeah? And if, like me, you're spending a lot of time in the office, how much of that great practice that teachers are doing every day in the classroom are you seeing in order to recognize it, in order to praise it, in order to say, well done. Yeah, I popped into your science classroom today. Yeah, just there for 10 minutes, but God, it's fantastic. Yeah. So what does motivate us? What does motivate us as educationists? Why do we do this? Why do we get up in the morning? I think it's quite easy for us to assume that teachers are automatically motivated because they're teachers. Yeah? But it's a vocation, they love it. Of course they're motivated. Oh, they get out of bed, wow, wonderful. It's also a job, and it's stressful and difficult, and parents can get you down, and students can get you down, and sometimes you go home and think, why on earth did I get involved in this in the first place? Okay? It happens. Everyone has days like that. All right? Just because we have chosen to work in education doesn't mean we wake up skipping every morning, singing, oh, what a beautiful day it's going to be today. Okay? Yes, I'm sure there is probably more intrinsic motivation for us than perhaps in other professions, that we do it because we love it. Perhaps we become teachers because we love a particular subject very much. Perhaps because we want to work with young people. Perhaps it's a combination of the two. Yeah? But it's certainly not necessarily anything to do with Ferraris, yeah? Which may or may not influence other things. Okay? Everyone says, oh, when you're a teacher, you don't do it for the money. And that's probably true, but as we'll see in a minute, that's irrelevant anyway. Okay, salary is not a motivating factor at all in any profession whatsoever. Okay. Herzberg. We're not going to go into him in too much detail. There will be some links, and we can see, so you can pursue this. I don't want to become a lecture on a psychologist. But he came up with some very interesting, what's become known as the dual factor approach to motivation. Okay? And he has identified these as the chief motivating factors, regardless of where you work, okay, or what profession you do. Everyone wants advancement and personal growth, and we'll come back to this. It's very important, extremely important. Okay? We'll look at it and talk about it in more detail later. Okay? The work itself, okay, which is perhaps where we perhaps have an advantage over certain other professions, that we are educators, we love the work, we love going into the classroom, as we see perhaps not every day, but most days hopefully. Responsibility. Teachers have a massive responsibility, okay? But if they're not feeling empowered, if they're not feeling motivation, if that's not recognized, they're going to start shrugging their shoulders and saying, yeah. Achievement and recognition, okay? Personal growth and achievement, I feel, are very, very, very closely linked, all right? When we start talking about personalizing goals in a minute, what is it they want to achieve? Yeah? Are we dictating what they're going to achieve, as we chatted about a little bit earlier, or are we allowing them to empower themselves to say, this is what I'm going to achieve? Okay. The other part of Herzberg's theory are what he called hygiene, or maintenance factors, okay? Now, quite often in the past, these are confused with motivators. All right? According to Herzberg, I'm not saying it's written in stone, but for me it's a fascinating theory, and I've seen it in practice. Okay? Status, personal life, relationship with your supervisor, security, salary, company policy, administration work, general work conditions, do you get on with your colleagues, the relationship with your peers, and so on and so forth. A lot of the times in education, any institution, we say, wow, we're offering a great package, salary package, terrific. Okay? The other people who work here are lovely, you're going to really get on with it. It's fantastic. Okay? The work conditions are great, the hours are reasonable, we have lovely facilities for you to work in. The administration are fantastic. You know, you're really going to get on with them. All right. There's security. I'm giving you a 2-year contract with all these clauses that say I can't fire you unless there's an extremely good reason. Yeah. Because of our good hours, you're going to enjoy a good personal life, and you have that work-life balance in there, and so on and so forth. Okay. And often this is how we sell motivation to people. All right. What Herzberg is saying is these are not motivation factors. They do not motivate. The absence of them provides dissatisfaction. And that's the key. Okay? They are, if you like, the difference between walking to your office or the staff room to your classroom and the floor is as it should be, nice and smooth. You don't really notice it. You expect the floor to be nice and smooth. Okay? One morning you go out and there's a pothole and there's rips in the carpet and you stumble and you trip. And suddenly you're dissatisfied because the work surface is not smooth anymore. Okay? The fact that you could walk easily from your classroom to your office or vice versa was not a motivating factor. Okay? In the same way that because you're being paid an honest wage, well, you should be. It's not a motivating factor. Okay? But if you go down to a workshop like this, for example, and find out that actually, you know, having challenged people, you're 20% down on everybody else in the country, that's going to cause dissatisfaction. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So let's not confuse these things, all right? These won't motivate us, yeah? But take them away, and we'll become very dissatisfied, okay? I'm going to give you just literally, because we're a little bit of time, 2 or 3 minutes, okay? Just have a think, chat to someone next to you. What are the hygiene factors that most affect teacher motivation and well-being in your school, okay? Those were very generic, the one that Herzberg's come up with, all right? Are there any educational specific ones that you feel are there in your school and that the absence of which either would cause dissatisfaction or the absence of which is causing dissatisfaction to you in your workplace now? Okay? So just literally take a couple of minutes and then we'll have a quick, see if anyone wants to volunteer what some of those things were. Okay? So do have a chat with whoever's next to you if you like, but just have a think by yourself. Sure. Okay. Yeah, there's the ones that Herzberg himself came up with, okay? That he felt were the general, generic, hygiene, maintenance factors, sorry. Just have a think about any others that you feel exist.
So, just to clarify, what Herzberg is saying is that these are not, they are valid, but they're not motivated, they're not reasons for motivation.
No.
But their absence,
Yeah.
when, for example, in salaries, people come to compare salaries with others outside the country, then they become satisfied.
Yeah.
And
That's right. Yeah. Take them away.
This is basically their rights.
Yes, essentially. It's a nice way of putting it.
These are their rights.
Yeah, absolutely. Say, look, this is what I stand in.
This is what is expected.
Yes, absolutely.
So then what is the motivation?
I can go back. We're going to look at that.
Having a beautiful relationship with
Okay?
us.
This is what Herzberg is saying. Okay? So the motivation is. Alright? Okay? Advancement, personal growth, and we'll look at how we can actually translate these into something tangible in a minute. Work itself, the responsibility, achievement, and recognition. Okay? This is what people get up in the morning for. Okay? According to Herzberg. It's not the salary. It's not the relationship with their company.
Right.
Okay?
The work itself.
To a point, but it's just one aspect of it. Yeah, one aspect of it. Okay, anyone had any ideas, anything to add to Herzberg's list of hygiene or maintenance factors that you might have come across? That either, I mean, if your boss is in the room, you might want to say, I don't know, but hopefully you would. You know, that's quite good. Yes, great.
Harry, I was just chatting to, Matthew. The difficulty here of working in private education and the relationship between a school being a business and a school being a school.
Very interesting.
I think
great
it's
point,
one
isn't it?
it's one of the hardest things to deal with, coming from state education in the United Kingdom. they're not run as businesses, they're government financed, and coming into private, maybe it's my career here, but it's a very difficult relationship for everybody.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and that's not so, because I've always worked in private, well, in secondary, I've always worked in private education. So actually, and I was many years in Singapore before, about 18, 19 years in Singapore, and private schools there, sort of run very differently to the private schools here. So this, coming and surrounded by people who've worked in state systems in the UK and Ireland and Europe and so on and so forth, there is a big difference, yeah. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here, but this idea of profit versus not-for-profit schools, which are better and so on and so forth, is an interesting one. I don't work for free. Yeah? I don't necessarily have an ethical problem with people making money out of education, as long as the education that they're giving is valid. And I think parents tend to spot it pretty quickly if it's not. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to add on, the thing about the business versus the education is that actually the business impacts so massively on every other area of your hygiene factors.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Something as simple as you turn up, you expect tables and chairs for children.
Yes.
And because of implications of accounting, etc., maybe they haven't been ordered, they're coming back in.
That's right.
So again, that impacts even further on teachers or what you expect.
And the principal might not necessarily have direct line management over the accounts department or the purchasing department, and so on and so forth. So they're a separate idea. The best schools that I find, sorry, I'll rephrase that. Schools that don't suffer from that sort of problem as much, regardless of whether they're profit or not for profit, is when the principal is also the CEO. Yeah? And there are a number of schools in Dubai that do follow that model, but there are a number of schools in Dubai that don't. Yeah? But they have quite separate ideas that the principal is responsible for the academic side, and they have someone else who's doing the purchasing and the accounts and all the rest of it, which is why there aren't enough tables sometimes in class. Okay? But a great point. We're going to move on. As I said, we did start a little bit late. Obstacles, I think we're sort of touching on this already, okay? The management structure in your school can be one, okay? Again, just take 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes, just to have a think about what's impeding motivation and empowerment in your school. Yeah? If you feel that you are not particularly well motivated, or someone that you line manage or work with you feel is losing motivation, why do you think that is? And what can you do about it, and what do you need help with? Yes, of course.
If we say what we need to support, somebody's going to support us.
I would. Well, I would try.
I'm looking for support.
Absolutely. Well, that's a massive problem. Yeah. I mean, if you are.
So for well-being.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a huge problem. If your school is not following that upside down triangle approach, whether they look at it that way or not, with the learners at the very top, then you might run into that kind of problem. Okay? If you have a senior management and a middle management that is absolutely focused that every single decision they're making is helping the learner, you're probably going to find you get more support. Great. Terrific. Yeah. Okay, we'll move on, and we're going to have a wider discussion later, as we're slowly running out of time. Okay? Right, what happens when we empower our teachers? And we're going to see how we actually try and do that later. Morale improves, obviously, we hope. Okay, we're going to empower and motivate the teachers. It's just a short step to teaching quality can be improved, and learning quality can be improved, which of course is our focus all along from here. Okay, that's what the ultimate aim is, what we want to happen. So can we align teachers' goals to their own interests and school recommendations? Okay? We've seen how important DSIP can be. For example, you'll have other accrediting agencies, I'm sure, be it IB, the UK curriculum, WASC, and it's on the American curriculum guides and so on and so forth. They all come in, DSIP every year, usually with other accrediting agencies between 3 and 5 years, and they will have a long list of recommendations for you. Okay? And it's very easy for us just to say, okay, that's what it is. And push it, as we were mentioning earlier, push it at the teachers and say, get on with this. All right? Let's remember for a second that DSIP work under that pyramidal structure, upside down triangle. Yeah? When they come in, their concern is purely for the learner. Okay? When you get your rating, all right, it's because they feel that the provision for the learners is good, very good, at whatever, you know, whatever it may be. Okay? When the IB come in to have a look at your school every 5 years, or whoever comes in, that's what their kind of principal focus is, the learners. Okay? And I reckon we're going to try it later. It's pretty hard to find a teacher's own educational interest that isn't going to align with that. And actually sitting down with them and saying, what are you doing at the moment? What's fascinating you at the moment? What happened last year that you want to improve upon? Have you learned anything from a conference you've been at recently? Okay? Now this is, of course, is fabricating. You say, oh, well, anyone can make up an example. But as I say, we're going to test it in a minute, right? And see if we can come up with something. The teacher, I just attended a great workshop on mixed ability grouping in the science classroom. One of the decent recommendations noted that independent work in older students was less developed in some science classrooms. And we haven't. Okay, we have a teacher, all right, who, and remember what Herzberg's saying, they're looking for achievement, recognition, personal growth. Here they all are. This is what they want to focus on. They want the achievement to be to improve in mixed ability grouping in the science classroom. They're going to want recognition for doing that well. And this will be their personal growth. They will become better teachers in their own mind because this is what they focused on. Yeah? And all we're doing as line managers is saying, fantastic, go with it, run with it, brilliant. Yeah? And pointing out that this is how they are, aligning that with the school-wide goal, and the school-wide direction. Okay? Now, of course, it's easy, you can say, to make that up, but we will accept the challenge later and see if we can come up with a goal that you couldn't align with.
So what you're saying is that you align the goals according to the PSIB recommendation.
That could be one thing, yeah, whatever your school improvement plan is.
Go,
Yeah.
go get some workshops done, go attend the conference for teachers. That should be like a personal.
No. That's the wrong way around.
Okay.
Yeah. You want the teacher to bring something to the table, okay, in
Okay.
the first instance. That's the first part of any goal-setting meeting, should be the teacher saying, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to work on this year, because I went to this conference, because I had a chat with a colleague, because in a peer observation, I saw this teacher do some amazing stuff, I want to know more about that, okay? And it's the line manager's job there, okay? To then, through conversation, through dialogue, see how that links with your school improvement plan. Be it a DSIB recommendation, an IB recommendation, an IGCSE recommendation, whatever it may be, okay? Or just the school's own strategic plan that the SNT have come up with, okay? But if a teacher's focused on learning, and a school is focused on learning, you will always find the correlation, okay? It will always be there. Just allow the teachers, or the middleman, whoever you happen to line manage, yeah, be an HOD, a deputy, whoever it is you line manage, let them bring it to the table. So this is what I'd love to work on this year.
So, which table?
Which, your table, yeah.
No,
Okay,
I
whoever is line manager.
I suggest it's not by knowledge.
Okay.
That schools should share each other if they have something, so they can cooperate together.
Yeah.
So our teachers will go to the classroom, science classroom,
Yeah.
in any other school, if they put it in their programs.
Okay.
And this will be kind of supported.
Well, yeah.
So I
Wonderful.
don't know how it will come.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, that seems like a sort of more direct version of what's happening here today, which is schools getting together
Yeah, and
and sharing.
But is it, I'm sorry, is it practical? I mean, really, we know because we live in the school and we drink with these people, and we live and breathe the SIB, right? We wake up in the morning, we have goals, we have, recommendations that we need to meet.
Of course.
Assess them and
Yeah,
evaluate them.
Of course.
And I appreciate that it should come from the teacher.
Yeah.
That the teacher is within the family.
Yeah.
The well-being of the school.
Yeah.
We expect teachers to read the inspection
Of
report.
course.
And then
Yeah.
come up with their own
course.
ideas. And then meet their ideas with the recommendations, and that's how we move along.
What I'm suggesting is, I know you're quite right, this is always going to be here. The inspection reports, the accreditation reports, they're always going to be there, okay? But as I said, the inspection report's main focus is on the learner. If you have a teacher, a good teacher, and you hope that you have employed good teachers, that's their focus too, okay?
Right.
So anything they're going to bring is essentially going to align with what DSIB want anyway, Okay? Unless, of course, DSIP have said, okay, there's a specific problem in this specific class because this teacher's not doing this. That's a slightly different conversation, okay? We're talking then about improvement plans for teachers, all right? We are assuming that that's a whole different presentation, that's a whole different conversation, how to work with teachers who are perhaps falling below the standards that you want in your school. That's a different story, okay? We're assuming that your teachers are doing their job well, and you want to keep them doing their job well, okay? You want to keep them motivated, keep them empowered, yeah? And this is one way that we can look at it. And it all boils down to chatting, okay? Communication is the key. Let's talk to each other as line managers and managees. Let's get into their classrooms more often. Get into your line manager's office more often. It's what he's there for, what she's there for, what they're there for, okay? Chat about it, go through it. Don't tick boxes with your goals. Pick something that you were genuinely interested in. Make sure that you're tracking it. Get other people on board. It's a great, lovely analogy you gave of being part of that sort of same family, knowing all the other teachers so well, and so on and so forth. Fantastic. Let this all become part of your staffing conversations, what you're doing in the classroom. Okay? You might find another teacher, another HOD wants to pop in and have a look. Yeah? Keep the door to your classrooms open. Let people wander in and out. Let your line manager come in. Okay? Because if you've got a good line manager, and I'm just assuming for the sake of argument that you all do, they're only coming into your classroom to support. Yeah? Because they want what you want, which is what's best for them now. Okay? So let them in.
Keep talking. What is the practical?
Well, the talking will ensure that your goals that you've set, that's what's written in stone then. You've had your goal-setting meeting with your line manager, and hopefully now you have goals that you're genuinely interested in as a teacher, that you want to get out of bed for, yeah? That you are looking forward to completing throughout the term, throughout the year, whatever it was, okay? Yeah? It shouldn't just be vague, I know what you're saying. It shouldn't just be little conversations in the staff room. Of course it has to be set out properly. Of course, there has to be a timeline that the teacher wants to achieve. I'm not suggesting we're doing away with any of the formalities of how to organize a goal-setting meeting, how to support a teacher through that process, how to say, okay, this is going to be achieved by this point. Of course, all that has to happen, okay? But the teacher hopefully is going to enjoy it a little bit more.
Keep talking is like teacher students or students students?
Everybody, yeah.
So they want teacher talk less.
Teachers talk less. Okay, that's, classroom practice in that sense, again, is a slightly different sort of topic, but it's absolutely, okay? But we should be, okay? And just while we're on that sort of idea of the sort of the cycle, again, to look at a sort of professional development cycle, again, is a whole different presentation. It's a massive topic in itself. But in my experiences, the most effective ones begin with a discussion. Yeah? They begin with a discussion, not with a, this is what you're going to do. Yeah. The agreement, I think this is what you were talking about. The agreement, okay. The implementation, all right, it's getting started. The monitoring, we're not suggesting that these goals should not be monitored closely and properly. They should be. And the teachers want you to do that. Because they want that recognition. They want that support. They want you to say, wow, yeah, you're doing really well. Okay, you're actually ahead on your schedule. I want it. Okay, when I go and see my boss and I say, okay, this is what I'm going to do this year, I want to bring it to him and say, look, this is where I am so far. I want that conversation to continue. Yeah? So that I know that it's going along. Okay? Reflecting, how well did it all go that year? Anything needs to change? Okay? Was it successful? Was it not? And round you go again. Okay? Thank you. We've still got a couple of minutes, and sadly only a couple of minutes because we have to start a bit late. But thank you very much indeed. If you want to know a little bit more about Herzberg, he's here. This chap we didn't have time to talk about is Maslow. You've probably come across Maslow. He pops up in most BEds and PGCEs and so on and so forth. He's approached the hierarchy of needs, which is quite similar to Herzberg. But unless basic needs are fulfilled, you can't progress in terms of your happiness and motivation and so on and so forth. Okay? So we do still have a couple of minutes left. So has anyone got any other comments they want to bring out? please do. Wow, you're all now totally empowered to go and empower other people. Okay? As I said, these are ideas, play around with them. You might reject some of it, you might accept some of it, you might find that, for you the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I think it's very dangerous to try and impose a system on a particular school, okay? Schools have their own culture, their own feel, it's developed over years. Things to bear in mind, I think, definitely, all right? I'm pretty new to Dubai. This is only my second year here, as I said, after a long, long time in Singapore. And the first thing I sort of promised myself is I wasn't going to make any radical changes, for the simple reason that I didn't know the school yet. Yeah, the school's been there for a long time. I work for Emirates International, but it's been there since 1991. It's the oldest IB school in the UAE. Yeah? So they're doing something right. Okay? Yeah? Me charging in and saying, oh no, this is how we did it in Singapore, let's change this, let's change that. Yeah, terrible. Yeah? Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. We are talking about the school itself. How can we motivate our teachers?
Yeah.
Now, teachers will be motivated, in my opinion, if they see invitation for something else.
Okay.
They will be motivated.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
If they see, let us say, outstanding school, what they are doing inside their laboratory.
That's a lovely idea. Yeah.
So let them go.
Yeah.
They should be welcomed because
Yes.
what we feel that if it is not organized program, they will not be accepted as much as possible.
Yes.
So we want our teachers, for example, to go and to share and to be imitated somebody else. They know they are qualified teachers, but I mean why they are getting outstanding and getting good. Now there is very good, I'll take it.
We're never going to get away from it, are we? That we're all chasing outstanding or now very good, whatever it may be, okay? And why not? It's a noble goal, okay? When you go through a decent guideline.
At 4 in the morning, to be honest.
Oh, right.
Finish that.
Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough.
It's the truth.
Fair enough. But let's remember what we said about, and I totally agree, the openness, sharing between different schools is love it. But a word of caution from my own experience, we were just talking about, each school is slightly different. Each school has their own culture, their own approach. No one knows your students in your classroom better than you. So stuff that you see in an outstanding school might work wonderfully for them, with that teacher, in that classroom, with that group of kids. Is it going to work for you? Maybe, hopefully, wonderful. But maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah?
And the truth is, it exactly never works.
That
The truth is
quite
that
awesome.
it never works exactly the same way. The truth is, you have to amend, you have to adapt, you have to modify.
Yeah.
You have to take out what the best you can
Yeah.
and then set it to your school environment. Because every environment is unique.
I totally agree.
Every individual is unique.
Yeah.
They should
Same way.
communicate.
Yes.
But yes, no, I do, indeed. Communication, as I said, as we've discussed, a word of caution, just to be aware, you might not. There could be, round holes and square pegs and so on. Yes, hi.
Oh, thank you. I was interested to know, how do you align your internal teacher evaluation with target setting, with the teacher's target setting without dictating goals?
Personally, when I asked them to bring it to the table. Well, what they want, first of all. Yeah? As I said earlier, that's the first part of any discussion I have. At the moment, I'm now managing the HOD. So when they come forward, I say, okay, what do you want for your department this year? Okay, and I give them time to think about that. What are your departmental goals? What are your personal goals? Because they're still teaching as well. Or as a teacher or as a manager. Bring that to the table. So the first part of the conversation is them explaining to me what it is they want to do, what it is they want to achieve. Yeah? And 99.9% of the time, yeah, we can get out the DSIP recommendations, the IB recommendations, the exam results, and it's all there. It's all there. Yeah?
How do the evaluations, like as the HOD or whoever is evaluating the teacher, how does that influence their goal setting?
In terms of going in and watching the class around and so on and so forth, it shouldn't influence the goal setting. Okay, that should be the monitoring part of the goal setting should be done. Yeah, unless of course a teacher goes into a line manager goes into a classroom and spots something that's seriously wrong. Yeah, that you are way off track here. We need to sit down and have a slightly different conversation to get you back on track. Okay, that can happen. All right. As I said, with this presentation, I'm assuming that that's not the case, because motivating teachers and bringing teachers back up to the standard you want in your school in terms of that's a different topic, really. And we could spend another hour at least chatting about that side of things. It's slightly different.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
This is the line manager keeps walking into the classroom. Will it help
I'm not suggesting that line managers should pop in every day.
Yes.
But yes, I personally think I am a huge advocate of an open door policy. My goal, and I might, retire or, whatever, hopefully what will happen before this happens, is that every door in the school is open. And that a teacher can be sitting in the staff room in a coffee break and thinking, oh, I just remembered, Emily's doing this thing in her class about, and just pop in and sit at the back. And anyone can go in at any time, okay? And if teachers want to say, actually, well, no, I'm doing an exam today or whatever, there's a sign on the door saying, please don't disturb today, okay? So that's my ultimate goal, is to have, there's everyone can do it.
Some teachers obviously would like...
Absolutely, for a lot of teachers, their classrooms are their castles, and, approach at your own peril, absolutely. But hopefully we're going to knock that down, okay? Okay, it's 9:45, which I think is the end of this session, so we need to, we're getting signals, so we need to stop. Thank you so much, thanks for coming, it's been a delight to chat to you. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.